North Korea may be preparing to send something more dangerous than another weapons shipment into Russia, an entire missile unit. Ukrainian intelligence claims around 90 personnel, 6 mobile launchers, and up to 120 ballistic missiles could be deployed near Ukraine. Moscow and Pyongyang have not confirmed it, but if the report is accurate, North Korean crews could gain real combat experience, while Russia gains a new way to stretch Ukraine's already limited Patriot defenses. Ukraine says Russia's military cooperation with North Korea may be entering a more direct phase. According to information attributed to Ukrainian military intelligence representative Andriy Chernyak, approximately 90 North Korean personnel could be stationed in Russia's Voronezh region alongside the 112th Missile Brigade. The reported deployment could include as many as 6 mobile launchers and up to 120 KN-23 or KN-24 short-range ballistic missiles. Ukrainian intelligence also claims that a new batch of approximately 40 missiles has already arrived in Russia, but these figures require careful context. The proposed force package has not been independently verified, and the reported maximum of 120 missiles should not be treated as a completed delivery. Russia and North Korea have not publicly confirmed the unit's deployment, its precise location, or the role its personnel would perform. That means the available information remains an intelligence claim, not an established battlefield fact. Even so, the report fits a wider documented pattern. North Korea has already supplied Russia with large quantities of artillery ammunition and ballistic missiles. North Korean troops have also supported Russian operations, showing that cooperation between Moscow and Pyongyang now extends beyond ordinary arms transfers. If this latest report is confirmed, the distinction would be important. Russia would not simply be receiving another shipment of weapons. North Korean specialists could potentially assist with maintenance, technical support, training, or launch operations. Their exact responsibilities, however, remain unknown and should not be assumed. For Moscow, an additional missile unit could help sustain attacks without relying entirely on Russia's domestic stocks. For Pyongyang, deployment could provide valuable information about how its weapons perform under real combat conditions. The numbers alone are serious, but the location may matter just as much. Voronezh is not a distant storage area deep inside Russia. It is a strategically positioned military region from which missile forces can support operations against Ukraine. And that makes this reported deployment potentially operational, not merely symbolic. Voronezh matters because it lies in western Russia, close enough to Ukraine to support military operations while remaining behind the immediate front line. The region already serves as an important hub for Russian forces. According to Ukrainian intelligence, the North Korean personnel would operate alongside Russia's 112th Missile Brigade. If confirmed, that arrangement could allow Russian crews and North Korean specialists to work directly together instead of transferring missiles through a conventional arms shipment. That distinction is significant. In a standard weapons delivery, North Korea supplies the missiles, and Russia takes responsibility for storing, maintaining, and launching them. A deployed North Korean unit could potentially provide technical assistance, help prepare the weapons, train Russian personnel, or observe missile operations firsthand. However, Ukrainian intelligence has not publicly established the unit's exact responsibilities. There is currently no independent evidence proving that North Korean personnel would personally launch missiles at Ukraine. For Russia, direct technical support could make it easier to integrate additional KN-23 and KN-24 missiles into its strike campaign. It could also reduce pressure on domestic ballistic missile stocks and help Moscow maintain attacks while continuing to manufacture its own weapons. North Korea could gain something equally valuable: operational data. A missile tested under controlled conditions cannot reveal everything that happens in war. Deployment could provide information about reliability, accuracy, maintenance requirements, Ukrainian interception attempts, and how the missiles perform under Russian combat procedures. That knowledge could later be used to improve North Korea's own arsenal. Voronezh therefore represents more than a convenient location. It could become a point where Russian battlefield experience and North Korean missile technology are combined. But the greatest concern is not simply where these weapons may be stationed, it is how quickly their mobile launchers can move and how little time Ukraine may have to stop the missiles once they are fired. The KN-23 and KN-24 are dangerous because they combine mobile launch systems, solid fuel propulsion, high speed, and heavy warheads. Unlike liquid fuel missiles that may require lengthy preparation, solid fuel weapons can be transported and launched more quickly. Their mobile launchers can relocate between firing positions, making them harder to track and potentially reducing the warning available to Ukraine. These missiles also present a different challenge from the drones and cruise missiles Russia regularly uses. A cruise missile travels through the atmosphere more like an aircraft and may approach at relatively low altitude. A ballistic missile climbs rapidly before descending toward its target at extremely high speed. That steep and fast final approach leaves air defense crews with only a short window to detect, classify, and intercept it. The KN-23 is often described as a quasi-ballistic missile because it may follow a lower and less predictable path than a traditional ballistic weapon. Reported maneuvering during flight can complicate interception, although its exact performance remains difficult to verify independently. Its large warhead creates another danger. Even if the missile lacks precision, the resulting explosion can cause severe damage across a wide area. Poor accuracy does not make such a weapon harmless. It can increase the threat to civilians when a missile aimed at a military or infrastructure target lands elsewhere. Russia has used North Korean ballistic missiles against Ukraine since late 2023, according to Ukrainian authorities and debris assessments by international investigators. More recently, Ukrainian officials initially attributed a deadly strike on Radushna to a North Korean missile. 5 members of one family were reportedly killed. Investigators still needed to complete the technical identification, so that specific attribution should be treated cautiously. North Korean missiles have not performed perfectly. Reports have described guidance failures, inconsistent accuracy, and other reliability problems. Russia may also be helping North Korea study those weaknesses and improve later production batches. That creates a troubling cycle. Russia receives additional weapons, while North Korea gains real battlefield feedback about their performance. A missile does not need to be flawless to create pressure. It only needs to reach Ukrainian airspace in sufficient numbers, especially when the systems capable of intercepting it are limited, expensive, and already defending multiple cities. Ukraine's greatest problem is not simply detecting ballistic missiles. It is having enough capable interceptors in the right places when those missiles arrive. Systems such as Patriot provide Ukraine with an important defense against ballistic threats. But the country does not possess enough batteries to protect every city, airfield, power station, military facility, and logistics route at the same time. Moving a battery to defend one region can leave another exposed. Russia attempts to exploit that limitation through mixed attacks. Low-cost drones can approach in large numbers, forcing Ukrainian crews to track multiple targets and reveal defensive positions. Cruise missiles may enter from different directions at lower altitude. Ballistic missiles then descend at high speed, leaving defenders only a narrow window to identify the threat and decide whether to launch an interceptor. Adding more North Korean missiles could help Russia sustain this pressure. The KN-23 and KN-24 would not replace Russia's Iskander missiles, but they could supplement domestic stocks and allow Moscow to continue ballistic attacks without relying entirely on Russian production. This creates a difficult cost and allocation problem for Ukraine. Advanced interceptors are limited and expensive. Commanders must decide which incoming targets pose the greatest danger and which locations require the strongest protection. They cannot afford to use their most capable missile against every drone or uncertain radar contact. Potential targets could include airfields, command centers, ammunition depots, railway hubs, energy infrastructure, and populated areas. However, no future target can be treated as confirmed simply because additional missiles may enter Russia's inventory. The reported 6 launchers and up to 120 missiles would not automatically transform the war. Launchers can be detected, missiles can malfunction, and some attacks can be intercepted. The proposed deployment itself also remains unverified, but even an imperfect missile force could stretch Ukraine's defenses further. Its impact would come not only from successful strikes, but from forcing Patriot batteries and limited interceptors to cover more threats across a much wider area. And the deeper consequence extends beyond Ukraine's air defense shortage. If North Korean personnel become directly involved in Russian missile operations, this may signal that the partnership between Moscow and Pyongyang is evolving into something far more operational and enduring. The reported deployment matters beyond the number of missiles involved. If North Korean personnel begin working directly with a Russian missile brigade, it could mark another step from weapons supply toward an operational military partnership. That relationship has already expanded significantly. North Korea has supplied Russia with artillery ammunition and ballistic missiles, while North Korean troops have reportedly supported Russian operations. Moscow and Pyongyang also signed a mutual defense agreement in 2024, creating a formal framework for deeper military cooperation. A missile unit operating inside Russia would strengthen that connection. North Korean specialists could gain direct experience with maintenance, deployment procedures, Russian targeting methods, and Ukrainian air defenses. Battlefield data could reveal which components fail, how accurately the missiles perform, and which flight patterns are most difficult to intercept. Russia could benefit from additional weapons and technical personnel. North Korea, meanwhile, could receive military technology, operational knowledge, economic assistance, or diplomatic support. The precise terms of any exchange remain undisclosed. This concerns countries far beyond Ukraine. South Korea and Japan would have to consider how battlefield lessons from Europe might improve North Korean weapons aimed at their region. The United States and NATO would also face a closer military relationship between two heavily sanctioned states already challenging the existing security order. However, several critical questions remain unanswered. It is not yet independently confirmed that the complete missile unit has deployed. The final number of launchers and missiles is unknown. There is also no verified evidence establishing whether North Korean personnel would launch weapons, provide technical support, or simply observe Russian operations. The next indicators will be important: satellite imagery around Voronezh, official statements from Moscow or Pyongyang, additional missile shipments, and debris recovered after future Russian strikes. For now, this is not a confirmed breakthrough for Russia. But if the reported deployment is verified, it would represent a serious escalation, one that gives Moscow additional strike capacity while allowing North Korea to learn from a major modern war. Subscribe for evidence-based coverage of the Russia-Ukraine war, and tell us in the comments, is this a temporary wartime arrangement or the beginning of a lasting Russia-North Korea military alliance?